In November 1963, just days before the nation was shaken by the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the Minneapolis Tribune ran a short, seemingly harmless feature, a man on the street style question aimed at capturing public opinion on a topic that, at the time, many considered almost hypothetical. The question was simple, printed in bold: would a woman be a good president? What followed was a snapshot of attitudes preserved in ink, attitudes that would resurface decades later when the responses went viral online, surprising, amusing, and frustrating modern readers all at once. A cold Minneapolis morning and 5 everyday voices. On a chilly November morning, a Tribune reporter walked the streets of downtown Minneapolis, clipboard in hand, stopping random people on Nicollet Avenue. The world was changing at breakneck speed: civil rights marches, Cold War tension, the space race, but for many Americans, the idea of a woman in the Oval Office still felt radical. The paper printed the responses of 5 Minnesotans, complete with small portrait photos, and 4 of the 5, including 2 women, answered with a firm no. Their reasons reflected the era: that women were too emotional, that they shouldn't have that responsibility, that the job was better suited for men. One woman even said she believed a female president would overthink things, while another insisted a woman's place is in the home, not politics. These statements, once ordinary, now read like artifacts from another world. The unexpected voice of reason, but among the dismissive answers, one response stood out, a quiet flicker of practicality in a sea of outdated opinions. A middle-aged man, wrapped in a heavy winter coat, offered a calm, straightforward answer that decades later would echo across social media. It depends on the woman. That was it. No qualifiers. No prejudices. No long explanation. Just a simple acknowledgement that leadership is an individual trait, not defined by gender, not bound by tradition, and not limited by what society believed at the time. His response became the viral highlight of the article when the old clipping resurfaced online. People celebrated its plain wisdom, marveling that in 1963, when most of the country still saw politics as a man's world, this random Minneapolis stranger had the clarity to cut through bias with 7 words. Why it went viral decades later. The resurfaced clipping struck a nerve for modern readers, not just because it captured outdated opinions, but because it showed how far public perception has traveled. What was once a radical question is now routine. What was once a dismissive no has evolved into debates about qualifications, experience, and platforms, not gender. But the simple answer, it depends on the woman, felt refreshingly timeless. It didn't try to challenge the entire political system. It didn't attempt a sweeping statement. It simply recognized something obvious today, but rare in 1963. People should be judged as individuals, not as stereotypes. A tiny newspaper box with a big legacy, the Minneapolis Tribune likely never imagined that a small human interest feature from 1963 would resurface half a century later in the age of social media, sparking discussions and reactions from millions. But the clipping survives as a perfect snapshot of its time, revealing biases, highlighting progress, and reminding the world how simple fairness can sometimes be. 5 voices from a cold November day. 4